Welcome to Middle Class Matters, Business News in English from Dr CMA Alagesan. Securities Exchange Board of India confirmatory order on Subash Chandra, the chairman, Punit Goenka, the managing director of ZEE Entertainment Enterprises Limited. The next part continued. 41.2.3.2 Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited, while its letter dated June 6, 2023 to SEBI, forwarded for instant proceedings on August 12, 2023, has submitted that it had received funds from Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited towards subscription of optionally convertible debentures. In this regard, I note that the said submission of the entity is not supported by any documentary evidence, namely details of the said issue, correspondences related to the said issue, other subscribers of the said issue, etc. Further, as noted, Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited had transferred the identical amount to ZEE Limited, which it had received from Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited on the same day. Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited had in turn received the funds through multiple layers on the same day before transferring it to Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited. The aforesaid circumstances on a preponderance of probability basis cannot be brushed aside as mere coincidence, and hence I find that the submission of the entity is unacceptable. 41.2.3.3 There are also other circumstances which show that why the agreements alone are not sufficient to lead credence to entity number 2's submissions. With respect to Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited, it is noted that on September 26, 2019, ZEE Limited made a payment in INR 8.35 lakh crore to Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited. If ZEE Limited had already been informed on September 18, 2019 that INR 17.4 crore of ZEE Limited's funds had been erroneously credited to Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited, it is baffling to understand why ZEE Limited would have paid an amount of INR 8.35 crore to Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited before receiving INR 17.1 crore which were due to it. 41.2.3.4 Surprisingly, on September 27, 2019, even after Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited received the additional amount of INR 8.3.5 crore from ZEE Limited, it used these funds to make a payment of INR 8.35 crore to Khubsurat Infra Private Limited, another promoter company, instead of first repaying ZEE Limited, whose money INR 17.1 crore it had erroneously received 2 months ago in July 2019. 41.2.3.5 It is noted from the records that entity number 2 and Miss Sushila Goenka together control 50% shareholding of Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited. The remaining 50% shareholding is held by SAL International Limited, a Mauritius-based entity which has been declared as part of the SL Group in the scheme of arrangement for merger of ZEE Limited with Sony Group. The web of intricate connections of shareholdings of Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited, as noted from the publicly filed documents by Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited, is shown in a chart. Incidentally, I note that Mr. Anil was a professional director in Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited during the aforementioned period. Mr. Anil and Mr. Punit Goenka had previously worked together in various companies of SL Group, that is Agrani Infrastructure Works Private Limited 2013-14, Kolar and Ramgiri Gold Mining Private Limited 2013-14, etc. wherein Mr. Anil worked under Mr. Punit Goenka as a professional director. Thus, prima facie, it can be said that entity number 2 exercised considerable influence over Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited. 41.2.3.6. With respect to SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited, it is noted that on September 26, 2019, ZEE Limited made a payment of INR 9 crore to SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited. If ZEE Limited had already been informed on September 18, 2019, that INR 23 crore of ZEE Limited's funds had been erroneously credited to SL Business Excellence Services Limited, it is again baffling to understand why ZEE Limited would have paid an amount of INR 9 crore to SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited before receiving INR 23 crore which were due to it. 41.2.3.7. Surprisingly, on September 27, 2019, even after SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited received the additional amount of INR 9 crore from ZEE Limited, it used these funds to make a payment of INR 9 crore to Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited, another promoter group, instead of first repaying ZEE Limited, whose money INR 23 crore had been erroneously received by SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited 2 months ago in 2019. 41.2.3.8. While letter dated September 18, 2019, SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited stated that it shall return the proceeds adjusted by Yes Bank Limited against ZEE Limited's fixed deposit, that is INR 23 crore, through check number 417609 dated September 30, 2019. Interestingly, though the check was meant to be dated September 30, 2019, ZEE Limited only received credit for the amount of INR 23 crore on October 10, 2019. Pertinently, on the same day, that is October 10, 2019, SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited received INR 23 crore from Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited. 41.2.3.9. In view of the above set discussions, it can be seen that there are enough and more red flags with respect to the transactions of Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited and SL Business Excellence Services Private Limited, including their strong connection with SL Group, that support a prima facie observation that the circular transactions are not genuine. 41.2.3.10. With respect to the agreement submitted for fund transfer with Pen India Limited, it is noted that two kinds of agreements were made. The first one was for making two Hindi films. Agreement was made in July-August 2019, which was shelved due to COVID-19, to enter into a fresh agreement for remake rights. There are few details which are missing from entity submissions, such as what steps were taken between August 2019 to March 2020, how much work under the first agreement was completed, when was the strategic call taken to obtain the remake rights, what were the correspondence with Pen India Limited regarding the same, and when did the said correspondences started. Any correspondences to show that the amount paid under the first agreement would be adjusted under the second agreement, etc. Moreover, the two credit notes submitted by entity for the transaction on September 30, 2019 show that it was for INR 72.57 crore, whereas the impunged transfer is for INR 71.34 crore. Furthermore, while letter dated July 23, 2023, entity number 2 had submitted that the payment of INR 71.34 crore has been made by ZEE Studios Limited to Pen India Limited against the invoice A2 2019-20 dated September 30, 2019, raised by Pen India Limited. However, the invoice is not shared by entity number 2. Further, GST filing submitted by entity number 2 via email dated August 8, 2023 do not indicate such a transaction against the said invoice. In the entire financial year 2019-20 and financial year 2021, the said invoice number is not filed with GST as per the submissions made by entity number 2. The non-filing of the GST of this invoice generated by Pen India Limited on the identified transaction cast doubt on the genuineness of the transaction. It is further noted that Pen India Limited has transferred these funds to ZEE Media Solutions Private Limited on the next day at around 2:20 pm. It may be noted that these funds immediately got circulated through a number of conduit entities and reached ZEE Limited by around 4:30 pm on the same day, October 1st, 2019. In the process, the fund travelled through 12 conduits to reach ZEE Limited. 41.2.3.11. Thus, the aforesaid discussions shows that though entity number 2 has submitted certain documents, the same prima facie does not establish that the fund transfer was pursuant to the agreement, as certain details or information are missing to establish the whole chain of transactions between ZEE Limited and Pen India Limited, including the fact that the funds were immediately moved through layers so as to reach ZEE Limited within a day. Therefore, at this stage, I am unable to accept the submission of entity number 2. 41.2.3.12. With respect to the agreement submitted for fund transfer with Coeur's Communications Private Limited, it is noted that from entity number 2 submission that ZEE Limited had earlier collaborated with Coeur's Communications Private Limited and had again decided to collaborate with it for 5 events prior to March 2020. However, due to COVID, ZEE Limited renegotiated with Coeur's Communications Limited. From the submission of the entity number 2, it is noted that neither any proof of ZEE Limited's earlier contract with Coeur's Communications Limited has been submitted by him, nor any correspondences have been submitted by him to show that when and for what the initial contract was made with it. Similarly, no correspondence with respect to renegotiation have been submitted by entity number 2. Further, it is stated that in the agreement that payment will be made subsequent to the performance of all services by Coeur's Communications Private Limited to the satisfaction of ZEE Limited. Hence, the agreement is contradictory to the claim by ZEE Limited with respect to payment INR 41.16 crore made to Coeur's Communications Private Limited in advance payment. Coeur's Communications Private Limited was supposed to receive the payment after performance of all services and to the satisfaction of ZEE Limited. In the instant matter, the payment were made even before the agreement is made, contrary to the clauses of the agreement, and the agreement is silent about the advance receipt of the entire amount. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please share it to your relatives and friends so that people will be made aware of the misadventures undertaken by various companies while handling their funds. Thanks for watching.